Yeah.
Where's your mic? Underneath?
Yeah. You can put it underneath if you want. It picks up still.
Is it right there? Am I going to like brush it with my beard?
No, you should be alright. You should be fine. Welcome to the Live Shit Get Bang podcast.
You said about not looking at the camera and you were immediately like, welcome.
No, but that's a good moment to look at the camera for emphasis.
We both just said we have no idea how we've ended up on a podcast.
No, although I definitely think that we've been manifesting this moment since that first coffee that we went for back when we worked in the gym.
Which was 2 years ago?
I went for our first coffee? No, it was longer than that.
No, the True Gym. No, it must have been longer than that.
It was longer than that. It was 2021.
It was just after you'd moved from True Gym Maidstone.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would have been about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. That's when we probably first properly met one another, would you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Back on the gym floor, the good old days.
And it's been a journey from there to here, isn't it?
Yeah, they were actually the good old days. And we were just talking about how different our training style is to then and how much we've learned and grown as coaches since that point. I mean, how do you think your journey has changed since then and the way that you approach fitness?
It's gone from my kind of fitness and coaching journey has had 3 stages. It started off with being very much into bodybuilding, no matter what was going on in my life. If I was working a labouring job, I would be in the gym 6:30 p.m. after a full day's work, training for 2 hours without fail. And it was very much bodybuilding style training. It was my identity. It was what I was passionate about. To kind of having this middle ground where I still trained like that, but had a bit more going on, to then my identity becoming dog dad, coach, and training very much taking a back seat. And then kind of coming full circle of going, now walking the walk for myself and leading by example for my clients is still making sure I look after myself, still training because of how I know it makes me feel physically, mentally, wanting to set a good example for my clients, for Lila, my daughter, and squeezing that in at 5 a.m. in and around dad duties and work duties.
Yeah, you've definitely done a full circle in that respect and going from, a really similar position to me, exactly the same when both of us first got into training. Obviously, we were talking the other day about how almost obsessed with learning we were and, trying to do everything the optimal way and, looking at the perfect optimal programming and training 5 times a week. And similar to that, I think I've been through probably the peak where I would argue that, my performance was probably at its best or my physique was probably at its best. And then I think realizing that that's not when I felt my best. I think that was a big one for me. I went through a really kind of interesting era where I technically was, doing everything optimally, but I wasn't feeling great. I was feeling stressed and burnt out and run down.
I remember seeing you at True Gym 8 PT sessions deep, 3 coffees deep, about to go and do your own training session. Still with a smile on your face as well.
I'm going to have a panic attack in a second.
Knowing that you had 3 classes that evening still to do as well.
Yeah, I'm running off of 4 hours sleep. Wild. But on paper, I remember my clients would say to me wow, how are you doing so much and, training with such high intensity. But I mean, I think now, hopefully I've found a balance that works for me. But I think it's so interesting that we've both gone to those extremes before we've come to that happy place. I think it's taught us a lot.
You have to as well, I think, from a coaching perspective, because you have to know what it feels like to be at either end of the extreme. And I said, I've been at the extreme of I will train 5-6 days a week, no matter what is going on in my life, even at the detriment of
When
other
training
things,
was life.
to not training consistently for, even as you've witnessed when you've known me recently, for a good probably year to 2 years, I trained 1 or 2 days a week and just prioritized everything else, and now know what it feels like to be on both ends of the extreme, and it didn't feel great for me to be at either end.
Yeah.
And I think that although obviously when you're in it, you're not really going to want to live that, it has made me a better coach without a doubt, because I now know what it feels like to be like, I used to be someone that was so consistent and so disciplined, and motivation was never a question. And why can't I do this? And that like shift in how I approached training, I think to live that and then be like, okay, I do need to make sure that I set boundaries around work, around commitments, around, and in terms of, I think, look after yourself, prioritize yourself can be quite blanket advice, but there has to be if I say yes to this, I'm saying no to my own training session, and I'm saying no to what will compound into noticing that my mental health has felt a little bit worse lately, and I felt a bit more stressed and a bit more anxious. And I think that is something I talk to clients a lot about is, you know, if I just look after yourself, prioritize yourself, can be quite blanket and quite difficult advice for parents, well, not just parents, I was going to say parents, you know, people who have very demanding careers, people who have very demanding home lives, personal lives, but anyone, it needs to be more of a conversation of, if we say yes to this, what are we saying no to? And it's tricky because there's no right or wrong answer, but figuring out what that balance is going to look like. Balance is such a cringy, like a cliche word, but balance meaning sometimes I will say yes, sometimes I'll say no, because of what that means.
I think that changes as you go through different phases in your life, doesn't it? I read a really great book actually called, oh my God, Do Less by Kate Northrup. Great read. Anyone listening, make sure to check it out, because she talks about kind of different phases or different cycles that you go through in your life, or even like cycles in the year, like talking about like winter into summer, and some of it's a little bit airy fairy, so it depends on kind of, you know, how into that you are. But I think it really emphasizes on like how balance looks different at different points, and this is something that we talk to our clients about a lot, and you know, times that we can scale things up and then scale things back down again to create that balance. And I think, you know, that's one of the reasons why it's so important, you know, us, you know, always thinking about how our clients are feeling and how we're feeling, because, you know, you can have two individuals with completely different lifestyles and balance that's completely different for, you know, each of those people, and, you know, depending on different phases in their life as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's where you can use those lived experiences to be able to use your own personal experiences as well as skills and tools you develop as a coach to help people find that.
Yeah. Should we talk a little bit about pre-training and kind of maybe like before that era, and what actually got us into the gym, like, to begin?
Yeah, I think when I think about this on our live calls, I give a slightly different answer every time, because
so do I. It's all a bit stewed.
I think back slightly. I think I forget like parts of my life when I get asked that question.
It's like the tell me everything about your life until this very moment.
I think it was definitely my introduction to training. That was the topic, wasn't it? It was definitely sport. I played football from the age of 4 until I was about 18. And then anyone that's played Sunday League football in the UK will know that as soon as you go into adult football, it's just about being offered out in the car park, and it becomes more about people wanting to turn up for a fight than actually play football.
Yeah, I remember you saying this before.
I was just like, I just want to play football. I didn't want that element of it. So I then went to rugby, which was the total opposite. There were fights on the pitch every week, but it was very much like shake hands, crack on.
Everyone I still can't imagine you being a rugby lad.
Oh,
I can't imagine it.
I definitely wasn't. I mean, we call me Ben and the girls, don't we? Like, I definitely wasn't a rugby lad.
We do.
But
it's always Ben and the girls.
And I remember even playing rugby, like, there is that real social element to it, which is great, but it wasn't my kind of socialising. Like, it was, I know that I came out the womb at 30 years old, but it was very, that culture I just found quite immature.
You came out the womb with a beard.
It wasn't my cup of tea. But I loved the sport, played that for a couple of years, and then whilst I was playing rugby would have been when I got into training at about 16, 17. Was that like to complement your rugby? Was that why you started doing it? I think it was just coincidence that I was at the age where I was playing rugby, and it was at college. No, it was even before college. It was even at school. I think I just asked if I could go to the gym. I went to Virgin Active where my mum went.
It's quite a fancy fast gym.
Yeah, with a friend of mine. I remember buying a full Slazenger t-shirt, shorts, socks, going to Sports Direct for my first gym session.
Did you get a big mug alongside it as well?
I think I did actually, yeah. I'm pretty sure that's still in my parents' cupboard.
Nice. If you didn't know what I was talking about then, I would have questioned
No, 100%. That's definitely still in my parents' cupboard.
They're the best.
That was definitely my entry to training, but I think it was a summer of just messing around in the gym, experimenting with it. I remember it was when I got to college that we did fitness testing as part of the course, which, like I said, which is probably quite a crucial part of my story. I went to college and to uni to join the army as an officer, which you only found out about last weekend.
She didn't tell us.
I think I forget about that. You might
have mentioned it once to me like 4 years ago, but even Rachel was like, you never told me this.
I think I just forget. Now that so much has changed to now, I think I just forget, but life would have been very different if I'd have joined the military. But yeah, like the fitness testing aspect of it had us doing like bench, squat, deadlift, training in a college gym. I could bench more than I could squat and deadlift right off the gate.
Wild.
And I remember my college tutor going, you shouldn't be able to do that. Like, that's not quite right. And I think that made me go and train other muscle groups other than chest.
Yeah.
But then that kick-started my training in the gym. Where did your exposure to fitness begin? Like sport, not just training?
When I was actually in like primary and secondary school, like I was quite into sport. I used to do like after school athletics, just like into PE. If I'm honest, like I was a bit too like naughty in school to like join any like clubs or anything like that. I was mainly like chasing boys and kind of Bluetooth songs onto my phone. Like that's probably what I was doing actually in school.
Yeah.
But I was always quite sporty. Like I remember we actually did you do this? It was like sports leaders.
I remember hearing about it, but we didn't do that. I just had PE.
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't even really remember what. I think we taught like primary school kids to do dance or something random, but like there was always like a little element of that.
That was your introduction to coaching.
Yeah, at age 13. Yeah. Actually, no, maybe we were a bit older than that, like 16.
Probably is it year 9 you did that?
Yes.
So 14?
Yeah, 14. Yeah. But like I said, my interest was not in what I was doing in school. My interest was going to parties and being a wild card.
I didn't apply myself at school whatsoever.
No. That surprises me because obviously you come across as quite
even college, uni, I was doing coaching, not qualifications, but I was learning about training instead of doing my dissertation.
Wow. I mean, that just shows the pull. That was the universe telling you that you needed to coach.
I remember in my wedding speech, I said, my best man said in our wedding speech about how me and Ben used to bunk off college and my mum went, oh. She was like, what? And I was like, I clearly never told you that.
Found out.
He was like,
oh, that's funny.
He said something about bunking English every Wednesday to go and play FIFA and get McDonald's on the way home or something like that.
Oh no, yeah, that was definitely a point in secondary school as well. We used to bunk off every time we had a free period. We'd go and meet up with like a group of other people and then just go in cars. For some reason it was cool to just like go out for a ride in people's like Ford Fiestas.
At school?
Yeah, drive to McDonald's.
I don't remember anyone having a car at school. Oh, did you do sixth form?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to college at 16.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that would have been like same time as college. Yeah, we'd just sack off our lessons and go get McDonald's and smoke fags in the fields next door. Good times, good times. Yeah, definitely not in secondary school that I was interested in fitness, but I think it came for me almost like in my late teens into my 20s, like 18, 19. I think originally, like, I remember I moved into a house and at the end of like the apartment building, same building we first worked in, there was the gym, and I remember I wanted to go specifically to the yoga classes because I've just always been into yoga. And I also wanted to do the spin classes so I could stay skinny and burn all the calories possible.
Yep.
And that was my introduction to the gym. And from there, I think probably at that point I was getting into like Instagram a little bit more, and it was getting cool to weight train. Like it was a bit like...
What year would this have been?
2020-ish? Maybe 2019? No, a bit earlier. I think I joined that gym when it first opened. So what was that, 2018?
What, pre-gym?
Yeah. Literally, I signed up on the pre-opening membership.
I wouldn't have even... I met Soph, my wife, for anyone on the podcast.
Not me. Other side.
Yeah, in 2018. So I didn't even live in Kent until 2019, 2020. Because I'm originally from Essex.
Oh, it's
and Soph was
you
from
wouldn't even have been
Kent,
here.
yeah.
Wild. So yeah, it would have been before you even moved over.
Yeah.
But then I kind of, I don't know, I think I was just intrigued by weight training, and I thought like, you know, I'm going to be toned, and that was my initial like first kind of thoughts. And I think like around then as well, like this is heading into like not long like before kind of COVID happened. I think I was kind of on the edge of like what I wanted to do with my career, and I'd just left like 3 different jobs. I'd left my job in the film industry. I then decided to work at a local pub, then ended up managing the pub. Previously to that, I'd worked in events, and I was looking for a career change anyway. And like during that time, I was getting so into resistance training. I got my own coach, Coach Harriet, so he's also coached alongside us.
A very good coach.
Fantastic coach, obviously. I turned out brilliantly. But yeah, Harriet like inspired me so much, and like just gave me kind of the real kind of foot in the door with resistance training. And I think from like that point, I still had almost that mindset of, I was just trying to be smaller all of the time. I wanted to be skinny. I wanted to be lean. I was really like focused on my physique. And I think a lot of that probably comes from like my background of disordered eating. So when I was really, really young, I was only 12. I was diagnosed with AN and bulimia, which is so awful, like thinking about that now, like I was so young, which at the time almost took my life. And I think like I still had a lot of that kind of mindset like in my late teens, just things that like I hadn't like been able to move away from, you know, that narrative that we talk about with our clients all the time, like the diet culture, and you know, eating less is better, being smaller is better. That was still very much ingrained in me at that time. And I think like then when I fell in love with weight training, and I was like, damn, I'm strong, like I can do cool shit.
And you've gained a lot of muscle as well.
Yes,
a lot of muscle.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna like say numbers, but it's in like double figures, like how much mass I've put on, the numbers that have gone up in the scale. And this is what I always preach it, like, you know, coming away from the scales and focusing on how you feel. Because if I continued to, like, if I was focusing on the scale, like during that transitional phase, and it still makes me kind of like it's wild because it's over 10 kilos, like the amount of muscle that I've put on, which is mental. Yeah, so I think, you know, if I was focusing on that, maybe it would be a different story. But I just fell in love with like the performance. I think as well the discipline of it, you know, focusing on myself and like feeling good in that way. Yeah.
And your journey is probably quite different to mine in that respect, isn't it? In that since that point, since that entry to training, it's still very much in a much more balanced way now. The discipline is something that you thrive off of, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's a really enjoyable part of training for you.
Yeah, 100%. Do you feel like you used to enjoy kind of that element of training, or do you feel like you've maybe come away from that a little bit more now?
I think people wouldn't expect to hear this from a coach. Where I'm at with my training at the moment, I'm kind of in a bit of a phase where I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to enjoy it as much as I did.
Yeah,
And
we were talking about this the other day.
I mentioned that to my coach, Tom, who's fantastic. And he was like, oh yeah, mate. Yeah, like totally get it. Like when you've been training for
so normal.
over a decade.
So
and
normal.
I mentioned it a lot recently. It's probably going to become a joke, but because I've literally only been doing it for like 2 weeks.
I know what you're going to say.
How much I enjoyed golf.
You know, in between.
Yeah. Straight away. I was like, and I've been like watching it for a little while and wanted to give it a go. So it's been longer than a couple of weeks that it's just been a very short amount of time that I actually tried it. Immediately, I'm like, how can I improve my swing? Watching YouTube videos, in any spare moment I'm getting, thinking about it, researching it. And I've got that obsessive nature with golf to what I had with training. And I think, again, talking from like a coaching perspective, a lot of our clients, some do, but a lot of our clients don't love training.
Yeah.
And a really common question or observation I'll get on an inquiry call is, how do I become one of those people that just loves training?
Yeah, I talk about this all the time, and I don't know if you've used this analogy before, but it's like, if you're one of my clients, you'll know this. It is the toothbrush analogy. Have you heard me talk about this before?
No.
I'm about to fill your ears with a juicy analogy. So I thought, like, thinking about training the same way in that you brush your teeth in the morning. So you don't wake up and you're like, fucking can't wait to brush my teeth.
Yeah.
But you know that it's going to benefit your long-term health. Mm-hmm. You know that you're going to feel good for doing it afterwards. Training's the same, I think, in that respect. And
100%.
We do not go into our session like, whoa, can't wait to train. Yeah. But you always leave feeling better, obviously. And we know that it's gonna probably prevent us from having a nervy bee that day, that it's gonna, you know, support our general health and well-being, and that we're gonna be able to show up as, you know, better humans, better friend, better colleague, better dad, better partner
100%.
for doing so.
100%. And I think it's that, I think people can sometimes get that misconstrued, that they feel like they have to love training to do it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, that's also like, you know, there have been points in our journey where we have loved training.
Like the first 5 years of my training.
Yeah. And we do have
like
clients as well that also, you know, really enjoy, and especially like focusing on strength, like, which is pretty badass. But
and I think it can again be that false expectation that we have to love every session and every moment, every phase, every period of training. Because I mean, like right now, I love training way more than I have for the last couple of years. And that's partly coming out the other side of that experience of realizing I now know what it feels like to not train consistently. And I don't want that.
Absolutely.
For all of the reasons that we listed earlier. But also, and we say this to clients all the time, we quite often train because of how we feel after the session
100%.
or during the session, not before. And I think it's just that shift for me of training was everything I thought about. now training is a part of my life.
Absolutely.
That,
Amen.
Obviously everyone has different access to training, and there's loads of things that go into it. But I think in whatever way we can, everyone needs movement to be a part of their life.
Yeah, 100%.
That doesn't have to be in the gym. That could be a walk each day.
Definitely. Definitely. And I think that's why as well, like, obviously, we've got the live event coming up this Sunday. Whoop, whoop. And we've done, you know, events previously, like the walk and half marathon. And, you know, it doesn't matter, like, what type of fitness you are or what type of exercise, that you are doing. Obviously, you know, specific types of exercise will complement specific goals more. So for example, you know, if your goal is to get absolutely wham biceps, you know, going to a spin class probably isn't going to complement that, you know. But, you know, in general, like including some form of movement that you enjoy into your routine is absolutely so important.
And I think, and as time goes on, just being open to trying new things.
Yeah, sorry, I could hear a noise from outside. I was like, is that a pigeon? Like,
I thought it sounded like a hose, like a water hose.
Just imagine just the water.
We are in Casa del Henley Fitness, so we have no idea
We are.
what the noises
guys,
are around
we're
us.
in the Henley Fitness HQ. I don't know if you can see the sign in the background, but this is the office, and this is where, well, mostly actual Rachel's big ideas happen. Yeah.
Yeah, now office come podcast studio as well.
Yeah, and film studio when we're doing random bits of filming.
But yeah, I think the Manchester trip, that was so much fun. In the car, and I think this is, I don't want to go off on a tangent because I think we're probably going to wrap up the first episode in a second.
Yeah.
But
doesn't sound like us to go on a tangent.
Part of that journey for me of going from training being my life to not really training to now bringing it back in again has obviously affected my confidence in my body and how strong it is, and makes me more nervous to try new things like the climbing that we did. And it's obviously, this is like, it's I think you forget how much what you say to clients applies to you, because I'll have conversations with clients every week trying to nudge them to try new experiences, try new things, just be open-minded, explore movement in different ways. And I very nearly was like, oh, I've got a couple of injuries at the moment, I'll just sit in the cafe, you guys climb.
Sat out in the cafe.
And I was like, I can't do that. Not saying that climbing is now going to be my thing. I don't think I'll go again unless we all go together. But loved it and had loads
Maybe we should make it like every few months we go, just for fun.
And had loads of fun. And if I hadn't given myself that little nudge to just give it a go, and I think that goes for just trying new forms of exercise.
Definitely.
I wouldn't have had that experience, and potentially found a new way of movement that I enjoy.
Maybe we should make that like a feature that we do, is like trying out a new exercise like every other episode and doing a review. That would be funny. We can do taekwondo.
I've never been to a spin class. I've never been to a yoga class.
Oh my god, well that's the first things we need to do. I've never played golf.
I think I bet like whoever's going to edit this, probably out of us two, we should have a let's see if I can go through an episode without mentioning golf.
I doubt it,
because it's just so front of mind for me at the moment.
Golf is life.
And I keep pulling analogies in for it.
Just like when I play golf.
Yeah. Like if we're talking about imperfect action, me getting into golf. If we're talking about trying new experiences.
Shall we wrap up this episode with talking about what people can expect from listening to the podcast across the next few episodes? Across forever.
I think one of the most important things, which is a really good lesson for us in business life, is we have an idea, but we don't know for certain.
Yeah.
And we've had this idea of a podcast for months.
Having a podcast has been on my vision board for 3 years. I've put it in my vision plan literally for 3 years now.
And I think
Here we are.
Rachel's rubbed off on us a little bit because we went, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Let's just sit down and record that first episode, introduce ourselves. We have a rough idea of what we want it to be, but we're just going to get started. And we wouldn't be sat here on this sofa in Rachel's house.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Rachel giving us a kick up the arse to do it.
Yeah. But we do have some idea of what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So I think like hot topics that have come up with clients, information that maybe we kind of just wish we had more time to sit and talk to our clients about. Deeper dives on things, our personal opinions and our experiences with certain elements. And obviously, if you are part of Blitz Your Bits, our group coaching program, you'll know that we do live calls every Monday, and we talk very much about kind of educational topics and, you know, specific to client journey. And obviously, if you're one of our one-to-one clients, we do, you know, a lot of work, you know, relevant to the client. But I think it's, you know, this podcast potentially, we'll see what happens, is, you know, a cool opportunity for us to talk about our own experiences.
Yeah.
And just share a little bit about us, and, you know, Rachel jumping on and talking about her journey and kind of learning curves along the way as well, maybe.
Yeah. And I think also kind of obviously Rachel is the amazing face of Henley Fitness.
She is indeed.
And
the original Henley.
Rachel has given us a nudge as well to come out the shadows a little bit and bring people into us as coaches, as people, like our opinions, our beliefs, who we are, our interests. So yeah, we've got some really good ideas of topics that we want to cover from a educational perspective, but also just being us on the podcast and giving our clients and people in the Henley Fitness world and outside of the Henley Fitness world a chance to get to know us a little bit. Yeah.
So stay tuned for the next episode, guys. I hope you've enjoyed our first episode of Live Shit, Get Banged. That's what we've called it, isn't it?
Yep, Live Shit, Get Banged.
There we go. Bye.